Welcome back to Hold My Banner. You see it on your screen. NBA is investigating allegations stemming from a Pablo Torre report that the Clippers and Steve Ballmer circumvented the league salary cap by paying Kawhi Leonard for a job with no responsibilities. The Clippers and Steve Ballmer have denied the allegations. All right, we'll get you guys caught up quick. This is such an interesting storyline. Absolutely insane that it's happening in 2025.
Yeah.
But basically, Kawhi Leonard back in 2019 signed with the Clippers. 3-year deal, just over $100 million, which was a pay cut for what he could have gotten when he was in free agency. But basically, they're being investigated for Steve Ballmer and this company, a Ponzi scheme, Aspiration, who branded themselves on taking companies and being good for the environment, which is great. And it might make you like a zero in your carbon footprint, all of that. They plant trees for you. They gave Kawhi Leonard a $28 million endorsement deal. Pablo Torre, in his investigation, read the report, and it was basically all these outs where Kawhi didn't have to do anything. Literally, he had to do nothing, and he was going to get the $28 million. The only thing that would prevent him from getting $28 million is if he was no longer on the Clippers.
Insane.
Sounds nuts. And the layer beyond this, too, is not just that happening. And that allows teams, this is highly illegal in the NBA, because you can go around the salary cap. Also, the other layer in this is a guy that I knew from like Reddit, just reading about it, the name would come up, and I wouldn't give him much.
Right.
Uncle Dennis, Kawhi's uncle. He's also his like personal consultant and all this. Basically, through this free agency, was asking teams, private plane, houses, guaranteed endorsement deals for Kawhi Leonard. And that is illegal because with all the owners throughout the NBA, you have the Steve Ballmers of the world, 6th richest person in the world, richest sports owner in the world. And then you have someone like a Genie Bus who they just don't have the same bankroll. Say if Steve Ballmer owned a company that built boats.
Right.
In free agency, if I'm Steve Ballmer and you're Ante Campbell free agent, I go, hey, here's the deal, and guess what? I know that other team's giving you $5 million more. Here's this mega yacht I can build. It's yours. Don't worry about it. It's mine, but it's yours. That would push teams and bully them out of the running and be an unfair advantage for, say, someone like a Genie Bus who, like mom and pop, hey, the best they could give you is here's a pair of shoes, you know? Wild. Okay, I tried to do my Spark Notes of it. Bro, when this came out, what did you think?
I mean, immediately you think, of course it's Kawhi. I mean, this dude is extremely frugal. He's been that guy throughout his career. You know what I'm saying? Of course, he has the no-show job because when has he ever shown up for anything besides winning Finals MVP twice? Other than that, he's never playing basketball. I mean, I think he's missed 40% of his games as a Los Angeles Clipper since 2019.
It's his knees, though. It's his body.
It's his knees,
ankle.
his body.
He's not like a Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, to be fair, Ben Simmons did a legal no-show job. With the Nets.
But, you know, it's been this way since San Antonio. You know what I mean? With the knee thing. It's been that way for years and years and years. So, you know, Kawhi has been a guy who undoubtedly, when he plays NBA champion level, probably top 3 player in the league whenever he is actually available and on the floor. We actually just did the Clippers preview, and I gave him so much credit for how great he was in that series against the Denver Nuggets, who we'll talk about a little bit later as well. But Kawhi Leonard is the guy who's the face of showing up and collecting checks. And that's exactly what this reported deal, you know, alleged, is saying.
There's nothing new about a team sponsor. Like Aspiration had the patch on the jerseys. And when the Intuit Dome was going to open up, they had like the logo on the back of the courtside seats. So they had sponsorship. But it was called the Intuit Dome. They did not have the naming rights for their arena, but they were basically one of the biggest partners with the Clippers sponsorship-wise. There's nothing new to a player where you have the biggest sponsor, like what is it for the Celtics, like Vistaprint or something? I could be wrong. But for like that player to get endorsed, there's nothing crazy about Kawhi being endorsed by Aspiration and cutting a check for them. There's nothing crazy about getting $28 million from them. But when they read the fine print, and it was basically all the outs were, if Aspiration has anything of Kawhi, and it was like a mental thing of like, it did not, beliefs. Beliefs, that was the out. All the language in the contract allowed it for Kawhi to not show up and not do anything. And the one out that would get Aspiration off the hook for the money is if he wasn't playing for the Clippers. Now, this was a company back starting in like, came about in 2013, was building up in 2021, really ramped up with endorsing Robert Downey Jr., shooting commercials with him, Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, also the part of this. Steve Ballmer, an impaired investor, they also filed and were sued $243 million in fraud. It ended up being a fraud company, which we've seen in the past, by two guys really don't know much of their background. But if you're circumventing the cap, this is like, for Kawhi Leonard, I get you say, of course, it's Kawhi with the no-show, and that is the joke within it, but that's also a guy that always seemed like it was just all about basketball, didn't talk much.
100%.
And it's like, for Kawhi Leonard and for his uncle Dennis, if this is all alleged, they were pushing for it, shame on you. Like, the contract he's getting right now, he's making $50 million a year. And for Steve Ballmer, same thing. Shame on you getting bullied, if this is all true, getting bullied into doing this, where the $28 million you were giving him, you can do so much good in the world. And it's also, you're getting $50 million a year. To the uncle Dennis, like, bro, what more do you need?
And I mean, you asked me my first thoughts, and then obviously I dug a little deeper and thought about it more. My second thought is, man, if this is true, the NBA has to set an unbelievable example with the Los Angeles Clippers. I mean, you go back and you look at all the times that in the NBA history where teams were found of circumventing the salary cap. And the last time that this happened was the Minnesota Timberwolves. They lost 5 first-round picks. They forfeited. 2 were returned later. So you have to mention that. They were fined $3.5 million, which to Steve Ballmer is absolutely nothing.
Worth like $176 billion.
Right. That's like me dropping $1 on the ground right now. That's absolutely nothing to him. The contract was voided for Joe Smith. And then, you know, the owner and the GM were both suspended and made to take leaves of absences from the team. So, you know, this could be something that really screws over the Clippers, a team that I just talked about a couple episodes ago being a championship contender. I mean, they did so many great things this offseason, and it almost makes you question, like, they get a Bradley Beal. Like, was there something done with that? You know what I mean? Paul George even said on his podcast back a couple years ago or last year before he joined the 76ers, like, I just wanted what Kawhi got. What does that mean now? We're all rethinking about every single thing. And you even brought up Jeannie Buss. Jeannie Buss allegedly refused. It was reported back in 2019 that she refused the request of Uncle Dennis for a house and a lot and money on the side, like, you know, all these extra benefits that would once again be circumventing the salary cap. So essentially, now the Clippers are saying they're gonna, you know, comply and that they're gonna help out and that Ballmer has nothing to do with this, and we'll see what happens, right? And I'm not the judge and the jury, but if this is true, I don't want to see the Clippers in the playoffs next year. Like, I don't want to see them in the playoffs for 3 years because they don't even have picks to take.
They have a first in 27, 29, 30, 31, 32. But if it's just picks and a fine, I think to your point, it's not enough. You have to void Kawhi's contract. He needs to be suspended for a year.
For the league,
Like, we thought Jonte Porter with the betting was bad. He got a lifetime ban. Like, Kawhi's lucky he's Kawhi. But, like, a lifetime ban should be on. They're going to make an example out of the Clippers, out of Kawhi, out of his uncle Dennis. And we're also going to see all these NBA teams, they're going to have to open up their books. All of these contracts and the endorsement deals, like, this is going to be a big investigation. Probably going to take a few years for the NBA to go through it all, especially with the superstars. Because we'll get into one name that's floated out there. You know, I wasn't excited. But to your point, no matter how the Clippers perform, there has to be, I think, a multi-season postseason ban. I'm not even BSing. Because, like, that's part of it. There is the basketball sense of it. You want the league to be competitive. You're trying to avoid tanking as we see it every year.
Second apron. We've been yelling about that in Boston for the last year about this second apron and how it's killing this Boston Celtics team. And now I have to hear this. You know what I'm saying? So,
what's stopping teams from doing that? Getting around the second apron. You know, hey, you get this endorsement deal. You buy all this real estate, whatever it may be. Like, they have, especially with the second apron coming down, it's going to be done. And this is part of it, too, where it's the public perception of the league that it is on a fair playing ground. Why should someone be a fan of, whoever the least wealthy ownership is in the NBA? Why should anyone be a fan of, I'm just throwing out the Pelicans. They could be the second for all I know. But why should they be that if they don't have a fair shot because Steve Ballmer and the Clippers can go out and do this? I think it's a multi-year postseason ban. It's voiding Kawhi's contract, which the Clippers still need to pay for in some way. Maybe that's a fine that they pay and end up goes to the league instead of him. And I think it would be a suspension for him, a suspension for the Clippers GM, a suspension for Steve Ballmer. They're going to make an example out of the Clippers if all of this is true.
100%. And, you know, you talked about it a little bit there, but, you know, it makes me wonder, like, hey, Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks, James Dolan, who we know
is
not
a lot of money on the table.
You know, he's not a very ethical person, you know what I'm saying? So Are they doing something shady over there in New York? It makes you question that. And I think Pablo Torre, on
Dan Patrick, he said he's getting a lot of calls about Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, because that was weird. It was weird at the time. You know what I'm saying? It was. It's a little, shaky.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Nothing can be sacred.
And then Mikal Bridges deal is a little shaky.
How much Kith stock you think Jalen Brunson got?
I'm not going to get caught clipped off saying anything about that. We're just going to see allegedly. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly.
I think if Jalen Brunson's found guilty, I think Rick Brunson lifetime banned from anything. And that's it. And I think that's enough. Ban Rick Brunson. I think that's good enough.
Rick, dog, he's got to catch the ban hammer.
Ban him. Get Rick off away from Jalen.
Yeah, man.
It's legit though. Like the Knicks fan out of me comes out and it's like, bro.
For real though, this is a Boston Celtics show, and as a Boston Celtics, covering this team, it is frustrating because
they're doing it right. The Celtics are doing it the right way.
I would have loved to see KP here. I'm still hurt about Drew. I think I cry every night. I got a Drew holiday blanket that I cry into every single night because I want him. And Al Horford, oh my God, we just talked about him last episode. I love for Al Horford to come and be a Boston Celtic. So it's if the Clippers are doing this, you know what I'm saying? We got a rich new owner built, what's up, man? Slide some money under the table. At least be a little bit smarter than Ballmer. And don't make the money go from an LLC to an LLC right under the table. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At least do something where you're not an investor, or get your friend to invest or something. You know what I mean? Do it a little smarter than what Ballmer allegedly did.
That's the thing too. He could have done this so much cleaner.
Which makes me believe that Mark Cuban saying that he doesn't think he did.
I was trying to find that.
Yeah,
you texted it to me. I want to find it.
And so if Mark Cuban, it is what it is. They're all billionaires, and there's no such thing as
they're all going to look out for each other's backs. So
right.
They don't
there's
get
no such thing as an
too.
ethical billionaire. You know what I mean? There's just not. But if he's saying that he didn't do it, and there's a lot of evidence saying that they're going to help out and do all this other stuff, it makes you believe that he probably did get fleeced. We know a ton of other companies and celebrities and all this other stuff that did get fleeced in this situation with Aspiration. So, that's kind of my hope, I guess. I mean, I don't want this to be true because I want the NBA brand to stand strong, right? I'm not worried about, I don't care about Kawhi, I don't care about Ballmer, I don't care about the Clippers. I want the NBA brand to be thick as thieves. Jonte Porter already took a chunk out of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't need Kawhi coming over here to my favorite sport and messing it up as well. So I'm hoping that this isn't true. But if this is true, it's catastrophic.
This was the statement put out by the Clippers. Neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap, engaged in any misconduct. Any contrary assertion is provably false, yada, 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 yada. Where it was unaware, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Here's the one from Mark Cuban. I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap first, Steve isn't that dumb. If he did try to feed KL money, knowing that what was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt, knowing all creditors would be visible to the world? They got scammed, along with many others. Crimes for which they pleaded guilty last week. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more value the sponsorship has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and want the Clippers to succeed, why not give stolen money to help keep their best player?
Yeah.
It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take the time to find out these scammers pulled off their scam. I agree with that at the end. Towards the end of this, I was like, how did these two guys get away with it?
Right.
They were connected to the Clintons, the White House. The guy ran for a Democratic chair in Arizona twice.
Right.
What these guys did as well. But with all of that, Steve Ballmer, you don't get to where he is without being hyper competitive and doing whatever it takes. And something that's new of being an NBA owner, there are rules against what you can do.
Right.
So he's probably done this in the past in other ways. Bring someone on his board. Okay, look, we can't match his salary, but let me get you to invest in this. I own this company. Here we go. Yeah. You could sit on two seats.
Right.
One job, you're sitting on two different companies and you're getting this profit. That's what he tried to do, and he got caught.
And the pressure is enormous. Coming off of being the owner that has to be the guy that follows up,
Donald
Sterling, you know what I mean? And then obviously a team that's never been to the Western Conference Finals until the Ballmer era. You know what I mean? Never been to the NBA Finals, obviously, which means they never won the NBA championship. There's pressure, you know what I mean, in a city like Los Angeles to do something like that.
Building a brand new stadium, you need to have the superstars.
Right. We talk about 18 champions here, 17 champions is his next door neighbor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to hear about LeBron and Luka and, you know what I mean, and Kobe and, you know, all these other people that have been there during his time as the owner. You know, it's tough to compete with, right? So there could be some pressure there that could force somebody who has that kind of bag to do something out of character and characteristic. It does seem sloppy. It does seem dumb, which makes me believe, as smart as a guy as he is, that there would be a different way that he would go about this if he were to try to do it.
Yeah.
But, like, here's the thing that I do know. All these teams cheat.
Yes.
In one way or another. Whether it be on the court or off the court.
First domino.
Whether it's on the court or off the court, they're all cheating. You can talk to the players and they're doing things at the free throw line to try to, you know what I mean, mess with another player. Like, everybody's trying to find that competitive advantage. That's the difference, though. Some of it is a little bit of a competitive advantage, and some of it is just borderline, flat out disrespectful. Yeah. And if this is true, that's that level.
It's just like it takes the air out of it for me with the league. Like you say, you love the league. I love watching the NBA.
Yes.
There's part of it. It's like, you're the owners, you're the billionaires, you got these rules. And again, where I just go on like the shame on like Kawhi and his Uncle Dennis and all this too, bro. Like, enough, how much is enough?
Right.
$30 million a year when he signed the other deal. He's making $50 million a year now.
Yeah.
Like, if you're Uncle Dennis, you really want to be this guy for him. Like, you're doing it the illegal way, bro. Get linked up with financial advisors, just sit back, relax, enjoy life, and let Kawhi invest it in real estate or whatever he wants to do, and then you go that route where he doesn't have to invest a penny. He's got $50 million a year coming in.
Right.
That's a part that irks me on all this too, where it's just like, again, the people that they allow within their circles. You could have all the money in the world. It doesn't give you smarts, street smarts to know, like, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Right.